Hello, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us for our Tiger Talk today. We have a very special guest with us today. And before we get started, do want to remind everyone to please mute your microphone so that we can hear the speaker. And also, if you have questions, can feel free to type those in the chat and we will make sure we get to those questions. But we will go ahead and get started with our Tiger Talk today. So we have Miss Kayla Hubbard, who is our special guest. She's Assistant Director for New Student Orientation and Recruitment, and she's going to be answering you all's questions regarding New Student Orientation and what you can expect. But first, I'll introduce myself. I am Heather Hampton, the Senior Coordinator for Parent and Family Services, and then I'll let Kate introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kate Forbes, and I am the coordinator for Parent and Family Services.
All right. We always like to ask our guest a fun question just to get started. So, the fun question we have for Miss Kayla is, who is your favorite artist?
Perfect. So I kind of have a tie for this. So this summer, I was able to see Taylor Swift in Nashville, and then a couple weeks later, I was able to see Beyonce in St. Louis. And so, definitely love all the women artists, but a tie between Taylor Swift and Beyonce. Beyonce could be winning a little bit right now just because she dropped well, she's gonna drop a country album, but the two songs that she's dropped so far are my favorites. So excited about that.
Yeah, it's very cool for her to be so versatile. So, you're a
Yeah.
Swiftie and a Beehive member, huh?
Yes, all in one.
All in
All
one.
the money going to concerts.
Oh my goodness. Well, we'll go ahead and get started here with our questions. Family members have submitted questions ahead of time, and then we've also gathered some questions that are frequently asked about new student orientation. So we'll go ahead and get started with those. And just as a reminder, if you have a question, feel free to put that in the chat. If you're watching this later on YouTube, you can feel free to put your question in the YouTube chat window, or you can email us at parents@memphis.edu with your question, and we'll make sure that we get those answered as we receive them. So the first question we have received from family members, my student has been admitted. So what is the next action they should be taking?
Yes. And so once your student is admitted, congratulations. Be sure to tell them to check their Tiger Tracks portal. So all the information they will need is going to be in their Tiger Tracks portal. It's also going to be inside of their email. And so once they're admitted, they have the option to confirm their enrollment. It is $100 fee, but that saves their spot and their seat with the class, and then that also covers their new student orientation fee. So if they've already confirmed they're good to go, they can register for orientation for free. When they go to the orientation registration, one thing to look out for is we have a couple new things this year. One is the Tiger Tracks kickoff. And so that is a night before social. I think we'll talk about that a little later. But then there's also the option to opt in for your student or for yourself to stay overnight on campus. And so if you choose that, that is an additional $35, and then it is additional $50 per guest. So $35 per person who wants to stay the night, and then also $50 per person, up to two people who want to be guests for their students. If you have not paid your enrollment confirmation and you're already admitted, that is a-okay. When you register for orientation, the form will know that, and you'll see that $100 confirmation fee in your new student orientation registration. So next steps would be to either register for NSO and complete that confirmation. You've already completed the confirmation, then go ahead and register for new student orientation. And then also there's a couple checklist items. And so we are going to need your ACT score or SAT scores. And so go ahead and send that into us. If you self-report it, just meaning that you put a score down on the admissions applications, but you haven't sent us any documentation, we're definitely going to need those ACT scores. We'll need your final transcript. And so we know you don't have that yet, but once you get that in May, June, or July, we'll need you to go ahead and send that in. And then a really important thing, especially for family members, is that students will need to send us their immunization forms. And so they are already receiving emails. They can go ahead and send that to us now. It's pretty easy. You can take a picture of the immunization form, upload it, and it goes straight to our health center for it to get cleared. Students will not be able to be advised at orientation if they have not completed their immunization form. So that's really important. If your student's staying on campus, they will need both MMR vaccines if they are staying on campus. And so that is good to know. Speaking of staying on campus, if they are wanting to stay on campus, they need to go ahead and apply. So our residence halls are first come, first serve. Last year, around maybe late June and July, we had a very extensive wait list of students who wanted to stay on campus. And so if you know you want your student to be on campus, go ahead and fill out the housing application. It's a $45 non-refundable fee, but it'll kind of save their spot in line to be selected to be in a residence hall. And so if you have any questions about that, you can call Housing and Residence Life. Their number is 901-678-2295. And then the very last thing is to fill out the FAFSA. So we know it opened late, but it's open now. And we want you to get all of the federal monies that you qualify for, even scholarships. And so you will need to fill out the FAFSA. If you have any questions about that, you can reach out to our financial aid as well. I don't remember their number by heart, but you can Google memphis.edu and then search financial aid. We will need you to complete your FAFSA by New Student Orientation. This is just really important because we have one-on-one appointments at orientation, and we really want to tell you as close to that bottom line dollar at that financial aid and scholarships appointment as possible. And so you'll get to sit one-on-one, you and your student, with a financial aid and scholarship representative, and they'll kind of go through for students staying on campus, if they receive scholarships, what their financial aid award package is, and they'll try to tell you the best estimate of what you'll pay for your student for the next 4 years. So I know that was really, really long. I didn't honestly mean for it to be that long, but basically pay your enrollment confirmation, sign up for New Student Orientation, apply for housing, make sure we have your immunizations, and then also make sure you fill out the FAFSA. So those are 5 really important things.
Awesome. Alrighty. So this next question you kind of already answered, but I just want to get a little clarification for this family member. So is there a deposit that must be paid to confirm their student's enrollment seat? So that would be the $100 that you mentioned, correct?
Yes, and that's new this year. So a lot of times we have students that have siblings, and you're like, wait, I don't have to do that for my student's brother. So that is new this year. Starting in the fall, your student, once they were accepted, could have paid $100 to enroll and then confirm their seat. And so if they've already paid that, they are good to go. They can go ahead and register for New Student Orientation. If you have not paid that just yet, it is totally fine. You'll just be able to pay that at New Student Orientation registration. If you have any questions about that, you can email us at orientation@memphis.edu. We have staff members who are checking that inbox pretty frequently and happy to answer any questions regarding paying for NSO or paying your enrollment deposit.
Thank you so much. And that $100 fee, the confirmation fee, while it will cover the student's NSO fees, that's not the same as the parent or guest fee. That's an addition to that, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
great question. So that is not the same. So parents will sign up as a guest, so your family members can sign up. And we have up to 2 guests, and that is $50 per guest that
Okay.
they will pay on that. If you've already filled out the orientation registration and you're like, oh, my student forgot to put their dad or something like that, you can email us and we can add your student's next guest to that. And then you will also be prompted for payment for that. So if you've already filled it out, no worries, just email us and then we'll manually add your guest for you.
And I do want to emphasize too that you hear Kayla saying guest, because if it's a mom or a dad or a grandmother or aunt or even an older sibling or a cousin, that person can be your student's guest. So it's not just limited to mom or dad. I just want to make that clear in case you have other family members who are supporters of your student. Our next question is people want to know what happens at New Student Orientation. I think you alluded to a little bit of it. Just what can people expect to happen during that day, that main day of orientation?
Yeah, so we're just hoping to get you really excited about your transition to the University of Memphis. So whether you're a freshman, a transfer, or an adult student, we want to make sure that you kind of feel a sense of belonging when you come on campus. You feel like you're part of the Tiger family because you are, you're joining it. We're super excited. This part's not only for the student, but for the family members. And so Parent and Family Services does a really good job of catering to family members during orientation. And so you'll have sessions that are just for family members where you can connect with each other and kind of network and then learn what to do with your students' transition. So your students will kind of have a checklist, but parents will too. And so we won't leave you out of that. The family members will be able to help support their students through that transition. For students, we have a couple main goals for orientation. And so we want students to leave with this schedule. And so we want students to get advice at orientation. And our main priority is that they leave with classes and they leave kind of confident in the schedule that they have. I mentioned we'll have financial aid 101s. And so those are really important to students and their family members. So family members can attend that session with financial aid. Your student, when they get to orientation, they'll have a name tag. They'll have a financial aid time on there. So it may say your time is 10:10. And so you'll go up to the UC Bill room at 10:10 a.m. You'll meet with financial aid for 10 minutes and kind of get to that bottom line of an estimate of what you will pay. We also have different campus departments. And so we'll have breakout sessions where your student can choose 2 out of 4 sessions to attend. We try to cover all of the main things that are going on campus and give departments the opportunity to speak about things that your students should know as a current student. And then also we have a pre-orientation module that your student will also be emailed. And so they'll, about 30 days out from their session, they'll have 30 days to complete a course. So really will only take them about an hour, and we'll send them emails to remind them. But there might be campus departments that are not represented at in-person orientation, and they'll find out information about them through our orientation module.
Awesome. Alrighty. So this next question says, is it best to attend a May session or should they wait and attend a date closer to when school begins in August?
Yeah, so this one kind of 2 parts. So it depends on the family. If you are someone who lives out of state and coming closer to August just may make sense for you, we definitely know that. And so we have a sessions into late July for that. If you are local or if you can get here early, I will say the earlier the better. And so if you know that you don't like 8 a.m. classes, I'm someone, I don't even like 8 a.m. work. And so if I was a college student, I would definitely not be trying to get into 8 a.m. classes. I teach a class right now at 9:40. I'm like, ooh, this is early, even though it's really not that early. And so if your students like that, or if your student knows they want to work off campus or on campus, or they know they already have a schedule that they're looking for, it is best for them to come to some of the earliest classes. As we start to bring in 2,700 students over the summer, the classes will start to fill up. Your student will always be able to leave orientation with a schedule and be a full-time student, but they might, if they wait till, the last July session, they might be offered a night class or offered at 8 a.m. or offered a class during lunch. And so some people like that. Some people like early classes and are able to get it over with. Some people like night classes. But if you want a little bit more control over your schedule, we definitely say to come to the earlier sessions just because the classes won't be as full as if you wait.
That's some really, really good advice. So this parent or this family member has a student that has over 20 credits coming into college. I was like, wow. Are they still required to attend new student orientation even though they have done dual enrollment?
Yes, that's a really good question. So yes, students are still required to attend new student orientation. That is awesome. 20 hours is so good. And so what you'll need to do for that student is make sure you have the transcripts from the institutions that your student has completed that dual enrollment course in. So let's say your student goes to Carterville High School isn't a really good example because I think they do dual enrollment through us, but your student will need that University of Memphis or University of Arkansas, whatever school they are going through for that credit, they'll need that transcript at advising. If they don't have it, it's fine. It's just easier if they do have it. So when they start having those conversations with advisors, they can say, hey, I've already taken Comp 1 and Comp 2 in college algebra. I do not need to take those again. And so we just want to make sure that we are, telling the students, I always tell them, you need to spend your money wisely and your time wisely. So we do not want you to retake a class that you have already taken through dual enrollment, or maybe you're waiting on an AP score, we don't want you to retake any of those. So you have to let your advisor know, because they don't know otherwise, and they may try to put you in those classes. And so they definitely still need to attend new student orientation, but when they meet with their advisor, they just need to have the conversation of, hey, I've taken these classes, or I'm waiting on these AP scores or IB scores to come in. And so that way we put them in the correct classes.
Gotcha. Alrighty. Great information. So this family member, you kind of touched on this once again a little bit, but they want to know if there's really a need for them to attend NSO with their student, and then maybe a little bit more of the details that they'll be doing as a parent or family member at NSO.
Yes, for sure. So I absolutely love parents and families. I previously worked in the parent and family office, and I feel like orientation is our time to be with y'all, support y'all, give y'all a hug, let y'all know it's going to be okay, and help you through that transition. And so I think any supporter of a student, again, up to 2, just because of space limit, should come to new student orientation. The parent sessions and the family sessions are crafted just for families, and you will not only learn, how to support them through this transition of the summer, we'll talk about the transition throughout the fall and into the spring, and honestly over the next 4 years. And so we know that high school is a lot different than college, or if you're a parent or family member of a transfer student, it's going to be, even though they're going from a university to university, we do things a little differently at the University of Memphis than your students' prior institution might have. And so I think it's really important for family members to join us, and so we can tell them about the University of Memphis. And the really big part is just giving you all of the resources that you need. And so Parent and Family Services is the office for families on campus. And so not a lot of campuses have it. So it's a treat for you all to be able to kind of rely on Heather and Cade, and they are there to answer questions and emails and maybe pull you into the Parent and Family Association. And so I think it's a really good opportunity to learn about helping your student, and also for that transition for you. So we always say that it's a big transition for the student, but it's honestly a big transition for the family member as well. And so we acknowledge that, and we try to give you all of those resources at orientation, and even through Parent and Family Services has an online, I'm calling it pre-orientation, but that's not what it's called, Heather. The online course that y'all have will be even helpful for families as well.
Sorry, I'm muted.
Oh,
The
no, you're good.
Parent and Family resource guide.
Resource guide, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's similar to an online course. There are different modules that you will be able to work through, lots of interactivity, and it really just, when you feel when a student has studied for a test, they feel more prepared and they're more confident in knowing the materials and have a better chance of making a good grade. Well, same way, when you have resources and you've read and kind of studied up and you hear these things, you won't be hearing them at new student orientation for the first time. A lot of
Yeah.
things will be familiar and you can recall things. And then also just feeling confident because you've met some other families, you feel that connection starting to build. So that's what we want to do for parents and guests and family members when you attend new student orientation. So I also think that it's a good idea for you to come with your student. And so make sure you're preparing to do that. Our next question, Kayla talked about how things that you should also bring for a new student orientation, the scores, the immunization records. But what else should family members be doing to prepare for NSO? What should they bring with them? And it may be in terms not necessarily of documentation, but maybe should I bring a pillow, blanket, things like that, umbrella? What other things should
Yes, yes. I definitely say dress for the weather. There is a campus tour that students and family members can go on. And so dress for the weather. Usually it's really hot in Memphis, but we do keep the University Center where we'll be most of the time in some of our campus labs. We try to keep it pretty cold just because it's kind of hot and there's going to be a lot of people walking through out there. So if you're cold nature, think about like going to a conference or a workshop where you're in a building for most of the day. You may want to bring a sweater. We always tell people to bring a water bottle. If you're staying overnight, there's a list on the website of what to bring in. So you'll need to bring linens, you'll need to bring a pillow, you'll need to bring all of that if you were staying on overnight. Of course, your toiletries and things like that. We do have a night before session called Tiger Tracks Kickoff, so students can come to that. They can stay overnight or they can go back home if they're local. But to that event, I just will say you need to bring your Tiger spirit. So we're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be kind of like a rec party in our wellness center, and students will be able to play games and get to know current students. And so the big things really is documentation, so immunizations, ACT or SAT scores. Things that are going to prohibit you from registering for classes are things that we're going to try to knock out. Your student will be receiving a lot of email communication about turning in their health form and turning in their test scores. And y'all probably be tired of seeing the emails and tired of us talking about it, but we want them to be able to register at orientation. So that's a big part of it. But other than that, I say, even though it's hot outside, maybe bring a jacket or something if you're cold nature, a water bottle for the campus tour. And if it looks like it's going to be rainy, go ahead and bring a rain jacket or umbrella, because we do want you to see our beautiful campus if we're able to.
And I would say, even if there's no rain in the forecast, bring
Yeah,
one
that is true.
in case, because you never know, and you might be walking around campus drenched, and
Yes.
we don't want to do that. Me and Kayla have been caught in a torrential downpour before together on campus, and it was not our best day, but it's a memory that we
We
have.
survived.
So, this next question comes from a family member asking, what is the advising appointment like? And they want to know if they can attend it with their student.
Yeah, so the advising appointment is just for the student. And so we will talk about FERPA at the beginning of orientation. So that's just a federal act that protects students and their rights to privacy for education. And so you'll learn, if you do the resource guide, you'll learn about, what's directory information, what's non-directory information, just information that families can get versus what students kind of have that control over. In a form that you can fill out if you would like to get some access to their records. And so FERPA starts at New Student Orientation. So when they are enrolling in classes, we unfortunately do not allow family members to join them. And so this is really their first step into, becoming an adult in this transition. And so we just want to make sure they're able to do that themselves. And also we have group advising. So depending on their major, most likely they will be in a group advising setting. And during that setting, there are other students that are getting help. And so we want to protect their educational privacy as well. The best thing about not being able to go to advising is that your students will be able to text you. They'll be able to call you. If they have any questions, I will be at every single orientation. So I do want you to come up to me, come up to our staff, and we will try to handle that and make sure they are comfortable with the schedule that they have. And then also the best thing is that you will be in a very engaging and interactive session while they are at advising. So hopefully you won't even miss them. You won't even really notice they are gone because Heather and Cade are going to kind of lead you all throughout through an activity that will be really helpful for you and your student in their transition. And also just helping you to get to know other current families, see how they feel. Most likely are all feeling the same way. And so it's a really good session. And, while students are at advising.
That's good. So yeah, you'll get to hang out with me and Kate, and we'll have a lot of fun. You probably won't even be thinking about your student as much during our session, but like Kayla said, they will have access to reach out to you if they have any questions for you. Our next question kind of has already been answered. It's about their student having dual enrollment and the AP credit, IB credits. I'm wondering, will the advisor have that information already? I think you mentioned that they will need to submit those transcripts from the institutions that they did their dual enrollment through. What about the IB and AP credit? How does the advisor get that information?
Yeah, that is also the same. And so if once you have that information on IB and AP credits, you can send that in. A lot of times we have students who may have taken, 2 AP courses their junior years, so they've already gotten above a 3 on those, and they can send those in. But maybe they're in a course right now and they're not going to get their scores into summer. That is totally fine. If they don't have their scores, that is okay, especially for our early sessions. We just recommend that the student tells the advisor. So the advisor will not know. So you just need to make sure your student knows every single class they have taken, either through dual enrollment, AP, IB, all of that. Just because, again, we do not want to waste time. We don't want to waste money. And so we do not want to enroll them into the same classes they have already taken. And so maybe make sure they have a list of those classes. If if they already have those scores, they can bring those. If they already have those transcripts from other universities, they can bring those. But just make sure the advisor knows what classes they've already taken.
Awesome. Alrighty. So I think you touched on this one as well. It seems like a trend, but
Yeah.
will they have a chance to meet with someone about tuition and financial aid specifically for their student while they're at orientation?
Yes, they will. And so while they're at orientation, we will have financial aid and scholarship one-on-ones. And so our financial aid scholarships office, they work really hard in the morning. They roll over printers and computers and everything from their office across campus to the university center. And that is their hub for the entire day. We assign students a time to go talk to them in 10-minute increments. And so it'll be on the student's name tag. Family members, you will have to check in with the student because then you may have a increment or a time to go meet with financial aid during a session where families are separate than students. And so once they check in, be sure to look at their name tag. I always tell family members to take a picture of it because it has their UID number on it. It has all the information, their group number that you'll need for the student. And then maybe make a plan and say, hey, we'll meet on the 3rd floor right in front of the bill room at 10:15 if our appointment is at 10:20. And so that is an awesome opportunity to talk with financial aid and scholarships and kind of get to that bottom line. It gets a little tricky. We will, most of the time in early summer, we're only able to give you an estimate, but after July, when we get our final tuition amount in, we can give you more of a concrete estimate. But don't let that scare you. Usually the estimates are pretty close to what you will actually need to pay. And so you can talk to them about outside scholarships that may have not come in yet and see what they are. You can talk to them about the scholarships your students have received. They will make sure that you've accepted those scholarships. They'll put all the numbers together with financial aid that you receive, and they'll say, this is how much you're going to have to pay per semester. In-state students have a tuition cap, and so most of the time in-state students can take as many hours as they want to, but out of state, they may say, hey, if you're at 12 hours, it costs this much, but if you're at 18 hours, it costs this much. And so they'll be able to give you that breakdown. And so that is really important. We do not want you to miss that meeting. If you do end up missing that meeting, just find a staff member and we'll try to assign you another time. But yeah, we definitely want you to attend those financial aid and scholarship one-on-one so you can leave knowing a really good estimate of what you'll be paying in the fall.
Very good information. So, we've received a couple of questions surrounding how their student will meet other students, and so I kind of want to combine some of the questions that we've had because another family member asked about the Tiger Tracks kickoff, and I think you've mentioned that one a few times. But there's also Frosh Camp and then Camp 901. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming that these are like major ways for your student to kind of get acclimated, meet other students, and start building those friendships and relationships right away. So tell us a little bit more about that. And also during new student orientation, during the day, are there activities where students can mix and mingle and meet each other outside of these larger events?
Yeah, for sure. And so I'll start with the night before session. The night before session is new this year. It's called the Tiger Tracks Kickoff. It is inside of our wellness center, and it's really just a rec party. And so students can play games. They can get to know current students. We will have registered student organizations, which we call RSOs, there. And so they will be able to talk to students who are currently involved and kind of get to know them as well. And so it's a big social the night before for students. And so in your registration, you have the opportunity to opt into that. It is completely free. We know a lot of students are local. And so if you just want to drive in, come to that after dinner, meet new people, learn a little bit about the University of Memphis, maybe learn some Memphis chants, get to know your orientation guides that you'll be with, and also get to know some of those incoming students that will be a part of your class as well. That is a really good option. So we're extremely excited about this opportunity for students. Since we switched from a 2-day session to a 1-day session, we've had to cut some things. And so we want y'all to have fun and get to know each other. And so this free opportunity is a way for you to engage and get involved before your session. So really excited about that. At orientation, you will be in small groups. And so your small group is led by a current student. And then you will also have incoming students. And this is mostly for freshmen and transfer. And so you will have other students in your small group as well, and you'll have opportunities to meet with them and get to know them. And so We'll play icebreakers. I know when we say that for parents and for students, we say icebreaker, and everyone's like, no, I don't want to do that. But we honestly will try to make it as fun as possible. And the goal really is for you to get to know the University of Memphis, but also for us to know you. We want to see you across campus and be able to wave and say hey to you. And we want to get to know you, and we want you to know that you are truly part of the Tiger family. And so there will be instances where you will be able to get to know each other and current students during the day of the session as well. Most of that is going to be between the hours of 8 and 12 o'clock. After that, there's a campus tour, and then also advising, and then a family session for family members. Oh, and then Camp 901. I knew I was missing someone. So Camp 901 is new this year. It is for out-of-state students or students who really just want to know more about the city of Memphis. And so it's after one of our sessions. I believe it's to the June 19th session. And so after that session, students can check into Camp 901. They'll stay at the 901 bunkhouse, which is located in Midtown. It's a really fun time. Almost all of our student organizations do their retreats there. It is basically a basement that's cool. I always say it looks like IKEA threw up in a basement. Like, it's a really cool looking basement with all cool types of furniture in it. And so you'll stay there. It's bunk bed style, so definitely a camp style. And get to know the city of Memphis, get to know the culture of Memphis. You get to eat at really cool restaurants, go to museums, get to know current students. And so, again, we want you to feel that sense of belonging. And so Camp 901 is a great way to do that. Even if you live in the city of Memphis, but you just want to learn more about Memphis, you were able to do that. But out-of-state students, we definitely want you to consider to do that. We also have 2 weeks of Frosh Camp. So you can sign up for Frosh Camp in July or Frosh Camp in August. You have to be registered for New Student Orientation to sign up for Frosh Camp. And so New Student Orientation, we are having fun, but we're also checking everything off of the to-do list. And so I always say I'm over New Student Orientation, so I really do think it's fun. I think it's engaging, but secretly Frosh Camp is really, really fun. And so your students really should sign up for that opportunity. And so it's at Camp Nakomi, a couple hours away in the middle of Tennessee. The really cool thing is there's no cell service. And so your student without cell service, they look around, they're like, I don't know who to talk to, I don't know what to do. So it's probably awkward for them for the first half of the day because they have to like look people in their eyes and make conversation with them. But after it, they love it. A lot of people have said Frosh Camp is like the cheat code to making new friends. And so it's 4 days, 3 nights where students are able to go to that campsite, learn more about the university, learn how to get involved, and really learn more about themselves and who they want to be at the University of Memphis. So it's an awesome transition program. It's $85, so it's a steal for those 4 days where you get your students to go out there. That's including the meals and the t-shirts and all of that. And so a really, really great opportunity for your student. And I always tell family members there's no cell service, but there is a landline. Your students probably don't know what a landline is, which is fine. But if you need to get in touch with them, you can call the landline number for any emergencies or things like that.
Awesome. And I definitely agree with everything Kayla just said. One of my biggest regrets from undergrad was not going to Frosh Camp. I'm not like a woodsy person, and I was like, oh, I don't want to go. But now looking back, I so wish I would have gone. So,
Same thing, Kate. I was the same way, and I regret it. And they had Frosh Camp when I came to the campus many thousands of years ago. And my dad was like, "You're going." I was like, "Oh, I'm so shy," and I ended up not going. And all my friends that I made later, they all went to Frosh Camp, and that's all they talked about. And I was so jealous. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I should have gone. I should just." If your student is a shy person, just encourage them to just step out of their comfort zone. Sometimes it just takes that one step, and that's probably could have been the thing for me. So yeah, I regret it too. Go to Frosh Camp if you can. Your student, definitely encourage them to go.
right. And even with Camp 901, that's a great new thing, like Kayla mentioned. And, we said like the basement at the bunkhouse, but I'm telling you, it is a great little place. Like Kayla said, like IKEA threw up in a place. That's literally what it looks like. So it's a nice little place. I've stayed there multiple times. It's a lot of fun. So, anyways, enough about all that. So the next question we have deals with living on campus again. So this family member asked, are freshman students required to live on campus? And how does the on-campus housing process work? You kind of touched on that a little bit, but specifically, are they required?
So no, you are not required to live on campus. But like I said earlier, if your student is even thinking about living on campus, I would go ahead and apply. couple years ago, I've only been here for like 5 years, so I don't really know too far back. But a couple years ago, we didn't really have a wait list early in the summer, and I'm telling you, last year it was crazy. And so, get your student to apply for housing if they are even thinking about staying on campus. They can always deny the opportunity once they apply, but if they don't apply and they wait to June, July, August, there may not be room. And so we want your student to live on campus. Studies show that students who live on campus tend to have a higher GPA. They tend to be more involved. I know from my freshman year, I was required to live on campus because I had a scholarship. And so I saw all of my friends study. So I started to study. And I really think my college experience would be way different if I did not live on campus and see my friends study. And I just did what they did. And so I think it's a really great opportunities for students. But they'll need to go ahead and apply as early as possible. So that application is out. Students who apply for housing early and they apply for orientation early this month as well, they'll kind of get a priority. So be sure to apply for housing, register for new student orientation, and you should kind of get some priority on your room assignment. But that is a really big deal within the last couple of years, is making sure that you go ahead and apply early.
That's excellent advice, family members. And this next question kind of goes along with that. So, this family member student wants to live in the student apartment. So, they're a freshman. Is that facility okay for freshmen or is it allowed? Like, are there certain facilities that are more for upperclassmen?
Yeah, so upperclassmen can only live in the apartment, so they are not for first year students, although we have great spaces for first year students. And so Centennial Place is the newest one on campus. That's about 90% of freshmen live in Centennial Place, but students with scholarships also live there. When you come to orientation, you'll learn about living learning communities where your student can be a part of a certain major or a part of an organization and live on the same floor in the same pod as students. And so those are in the Live and Learning Community Building, which is just a year or two or a couple years younger than older than Centennial Place. They're kind of set up in the same community style with their pods. And so we have that. We have Smith, Rawls. And so there's a lot of places for freshmen to live on campus, but they cannot live in the apartments. But once they get to their upperclassmen years, they definitely can live in the apartments. We have a lot of students who live in CARP, which is carpenter, but they're always saying, I'm going to CARP. I'm like, what are y'all saying? And so that is an opportunity for upperclassmen only.
Awesome. Alrighty. So this next question says that we want to come check out the campus this spring. What are some other options in terms of events and tours?
Yes, and so if you're watching this now, you still have time to sign up for Spring Break Visit Days. We're having those this week, so if you're out of school, come on down for Spring Break Visit Days. They start at 9:30. You're able to enjoy an academic open house. We'll feed you lunch. It's a lot of fun. Other than that, we have Spring Preview Day on April 6th, so Saturday, April 6th. This is for prospective students and admitted students. If you've already been admitted, we still want you to come. We have some resources that we'll like to tell you about. And so that will be a great opportunity for you and your student. And then we have campus tours every single day from 9:30, or not from 9:30, at 9:30 and at 1:30. And so we would love to have you on campus. You can go to our website, memphis.edu/visit, and sign up for a campus tour there. So those are called individual prospective visits. And so IPP or something like that. IPB, I guess. And so you can sign up for those on our website. If you are out of state, or if you are honors eligible. So if you live out of the state of Tennessee or you're honors eligible, you are able to sign up for a VIP tour. It is not on our website just because not everybody has the option to sign up for it. But if you follow one of those categories, we would love to offer you a VIP tour. And so you can email us at admissions@memphis.edu, and we will send you over the link. These VIP tours are really special because we really craft the tours to fit your day. So you're able to choose a minimum of 4 departments or people that you want to speak with. And so you can have lunch with a current student. You can talk to financial aid and scholarships. You can talk to an academic person. You can really talk to anyone that you want to on campus. We have a lot of options for you. You have a minimum of 4, but we have people who speak to more than 4. And those are usually from 9 a.m. to about 1 or 2 p.m. as well. And then we also provide lunch for that as well. And so lots of options to visit campus. We definitely want you here. We want you to see it, and also continue to help you make that decision to come to the University of Memphis.
Thank you so much. So once a family attends NSO, now we kind of talked about what you need to do to prepare. What do you do after you've been admitted? What happens during NSO? Now let's kind of shift and talk about what should you be doing and preparing for after attending NSO.
Yeah, so we talked about Frosh Camp. That's a big one. You have to attend NSO to attend Frosh Camp. So you'll need to do that. And then you'll just need to continue to check your emails. One of the biggest things is guaranteed tuition. And so once you enroll in classes, you have 14 days to opt into guaranteed tuition. Guaranteed tuition means that we will not change the price of your student's tuition for 8 consecutive semesters or 4 years. And so if the price of tuition rises, rises nationally all the time, or if we increase our tuition for the next class, your student won't be affected. This is really important for your student that have financial aid and scholarships, because we want that financial aid and scholarships to have the same impact over the 4 years. And so if you don't opt in, it kind of means you're kind of decreasing your financial aid and scholarships, because you're basically paying more if we choose to increase tuition. And so the biggest thing, and we'll try to nail this home in your students' pre-orientation course and also at orientation, your financial aid will let you know. We'll have a presentation about it. Advising will let you know. But 14 days after you enroll. And so when I say enroll, that just means register for classes. And so I know it's a little confusing because we have an enrollment confirmation. Once you're accepted, that just saves your seat. You actually enroll when you are in classes. And so once you get your classes, you have 14 days to opt into guaranteed tuition. And so that is probably one of the biggest steps after orientation to do. At orientation, you'll learn about Tiger's Smart Start. And so that's a great opportunity for our students to get books at honestly a discount. We've seen that students have received books at almost a 50% discount. And so I won't go into all the details because it'll be in the course and you'll hear a lot about it at orientation. But your student is automatically opt in. You can decide after orientation if you want to opt out, but it's basically through Barnes & Noble on our campus, and your students are able to either get their books shipped to them or pick them up on campus just based off the classes they're taking. So they don't have to go around and try to find them on Chegg and Amazon, all of that. And then it's about $24 per credit hour for students. And so a lot of times a math access code, maybe $120, and their book is going to be $100. And then, they have to have a book for every class and so forth. Maybe they're taking an English class and they have 3 books. And so a lot of times the Tiger Smart Start price will be a lot cheaper than if your students went out and bought books separately.
Awesome. Alrighty. So last but not least, do you have any just like umbrella advice for parent and families?
Yes, I think for families, honestly, I know it is such a big transition and it's really, really hard to let your student go and to let them figure it out. And I don't think we necessarily want you to completely let your student go. And so Parent Family Office is here so that you don't have to completely let your student go. And so you can continue to support them. But I think this transition looks like supporting them in different ways. And so your student probably received, or you were able to receive their grades in high school. You won't be able to do that here. We're not going to send your grades. We're not going to tell you if they attended. You're not going to get text messages from a professor. And so that transition, I don't know as a parent. Heather actually knows as a parent, but just as someone who has helped parents, I know that transition is very, very hard because from K through 12, you're used to being extremely involved in their educational endeavors. And so I think the biggest thing is to try to figure out with you and your student what happens with that transition. We'll have a family panel at orientation where we'll have current family members talk with you about that transition. And you'll see that some family members say, I completely let it go. I don't help them with anything. They're figuring it out. They're learning how to be an adult. And there's also some family members that say, okay, I know my son, I know my daughter, I know that I'm going to have to check in. And I tell them to call me every Sunday at 7 o'clock, and that's when we talk. And so it really depends on you and your student. But my biggest piece of advice is to start having those conversations now and have them throughout the summer on how you're going to communicate. And so your student is growing up, they're becoming an adult, they feel like they have this opportunity to maybe change who they are or kind of grow into themselves, which is so awesome. We want them to do that. And we want them to leave college with the skills to go out into the workforce and even just into the world and be able to do things for themselves. So that starts at New Student Orientation. That starts with the transition of them enrolling into college. And on the back end, we also want you to be able to support them. And so I think that is, individual to each family member on how you are going to control that. I always tell people, my mom told me I got on her nerves in college. She told me to stop calling her. So I called her too much in college. So it really depends on your student. You know your student, if they're calling you too much right now, it's probably going to be the same. I tell my mom, and as an adult, I guess I'm an adult, but as an adult, I still do the same thing. I call her all the time. So you know your student. My brother was someone who my mom had to check up on all the time because he just wasn't checking in. He wasn't really telling her his grades. I would call after I submitted a quiz and got a quiz grade. And so you know your student, you know how they are. So start having those conversations now with them, so that you'll be prepared for the fall. We don't want you to get to the fall and think, oh my goodness, we didn't talk about this. We don't know what to do. I'm stressed out. Moving is already emotional for you. It's emotional for the student, but they're not going to let you know that it's emotional. They're going to try to act tough. And so we want you to have those conversations prior to all of that.
That is some really, really good advice, and I definitely can relate to a lot of what you said. I think my daughter, she's going into her junior year in the fall, and she's one that I have to check up on. So definitely understand that. But take heed to this advice that Kayla has shared with us. This is some really good tips and things that you can do to start making that transition smooth. And of course, you know that you have parent and family services here. So along the way, if you have questions, you can feel free to reach out to us. Also, if you have questions for orientation, we have their contact information here. You can always email them at orientation@memphis.edu. Their staff will assist you both before and during and even after the orientation process happens. But we are so excited that you and your student are admitted. You're a part of the Tiger family, and we want to help you along the way. So you're not alone. You have all of us here rooting and cheering for you and saying go Tigers and ready to see you at football games, at parent and family weekend, and all the things. So just know that you have a big, giant family here that's ready to help. So I want to thank Kayla for all the information that she shared, for answering the questions so thoroughly, and for being here with us today. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you have questions, please feel free to either email Kayla for specific orientation information at orientation@memphis.edu, or you can email parents@memphis.edu, and we will get that information to you or connect you with the person that you need. I do want to make an announcement about our next Tiger Talk. We have a new division at the University of Memphis, the Student Affairs Division. You may have heard that term at different institutions or even an institution where you attended, but we are bringing back our Student Affairs Division, and so we want parents and family members to know what that division entails, what departments are a part of that division, and the vision and mission, and how Student Affairs is going to do everything it can to support your student. And that's going to be April 9th at 1 o'clock Central Time here on Zoom, and then we'll also have the recording available for you to view if you can't make the live session. But we'll be talking with the Vice President for Student Affairs, Melinda Carlson, and she'll be able to answer some questions about the new division. So we're excited about that, and we want you to attend. And we also want to welcome you to the campus and to the Tiger family. That will conclude our Tiger Talk for today, and we look forward to seeing you at New Student Orientation, you and your student, and getting a chance to meet and get to know you better. So thank you for attending today, or thank you for listening to the recording, and we will see you on the next Tiger Talk.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.